So, does British Airways hate its Australian customers? Now, hate is a strong word, but they certainly seem to be treating us with contempt. Let me explain. You see, Sydney, Australia is British Airways' longest route. It's just over 24 hours, including a 90-minute stopover in Singapore. You'd therefore think, being the longest route, that they would have the best business class product on that route. Unfortunately, it's not the case. Well, certainly not for 6 months of the year, between April and October, when it's mainly Australians flying over to Europe and back again. Between the end of October and the end of March, British Airways does upgrade their aircraft to a newer 777 with the new business class suites. That's when the Brits come out here to enjoy our summer holidays. So seems to be a bit of favouritism happening here. So today I get to fly the old dorm style British Airways business class seat. This is in essence probably a museum piece. It's retro, it was innovative back in its day. I'm flying from Sydney through to Singapore. Plenty of time to check out the British Airways service, because despite these old seats, I do believe that British Airways service and meals on board have improved a bit over the last few years, so I'm actually looking forward to trying that out. So join me and we'll do it together. BA doesn't have its own lounge in Sydney, so uses those of One World partner Qantas. Due to my platinum status with Qantas, I got access to their first class lounge. It's a beautiful lounge with great views out over the airport. Unfortunately though, most of my time here was spent on work phone calls, but I did have a time for a quick lunch before it was time to head to the gate. Time to fly. Let's go. Thank you. Bye-bye. As we head to the gate, let me just let you know about the sponsor of today's video, Airalo. International travel is fantastic. What's not great though are high roaming charges and constantly having to look out for Wi-Fi networks. Airalo solves these problems with a really simple, easy to use app that lets you download eSIMs in over 200 countries and territories around the world. I used it recently while I was transiting at Istanbul airport, where the Wi-Fi is notoriously difficult to use and they only give you a limited time. Using one of these eSIMs, my data needs were covered. It was fantastic. You simply download the app, select the correct SIM for the country and region you're visiting and your needs, download that, and then when you arrive at your destination, turn it on. It's easy, it's cost effective, and it's a lot more secure than random Wi-Fi networks. Now, Airalo is offering my viewers a special offer of $3 off their first SIM. But download that app, use this special code, and get started today.
Welcome on board.
Thank you. Luckily, I wasn't sitting in this middle seat. Instead, I'd managed to snag what I thought was the best seat in the house. That said, the best room in a one-star hotel is still in a one-star hotel, so it's all relative. I was sitting in 13K, a backward-facing window bulkhead seat. This seat is the most private, and you don't have to step over anybody else's feet to get out of your seat. However, you don't want to be too large because it's a tight squeeze, as we'll see later on. Let's start this off right. Cheers. Cheers to one great flight. Keep an eye on the wing as we take to the air, and you'll notice that the whole wing flexes up. This red arrow shows the level of the wingtip whilst we were on the ground. I kept the GoPro mounted on the window until we were well up above the clouds, so the camera hasn't moved. These aircraft are made of a composite fibre, and the wings are designed to flex like this. It's an incredible piece of engineering technology. Okay, let's have a closer look at this very unique British Airways business class. Please note though that any criticism I give is in the context of this being a video about business class. Of course, even the worst business class is much better than economy, and I'm extremely grateful and appreciative of the fact that I get to fly up the front. However, business class passengers, me included, pay a lot of money, so it's important that they can make an informed decision about which airline to fly. And this is because there can be a vast difference between the type and quality of business class seats that different airlines offer, much more so than in economy class where most seats are very similar. So this review is from the context of what you're getting for your hard-earned cash, and whether it's worth it when BA is flying such an outdated product on this route. Now ironically, BA invented lie-flat beds in business class. They did it all the way back in 2000, and these were the seats they launched. At the time it was truly innovative, but then so was the Nokia 3210 when it was first released, at around about the same time as these seats were. Within this cabin you have 3 types of seats to choose from. You can sit on the aisle. This gives you very easy access but absolutely no privacy. You can sit by the window. This gives you privacy, but you'll need to step over the feet of the aisle passengers. Or you can sit in the middle. No. Although these seats do have a little bit of extra space next to them. The very first thing you notice about these yin-yang forward-backward seats is that you are pretty much eyeballing your neighbour. When the screen is down, which is during taxi, takeoff and landing, you play this weird avoid eye contact but make eye contact game. Then, when you're up in the air, you can raise the divider and wave your new friend goodbye. Obviously these seats are great for loved up couples. The seats themselves are comfortable enough. They're like a well-used armchair and can be adjusted in multiple ways. There's a footrest thingy which forms part of the bed but is not a seat. And then there's a flimsy tray table. The power point is inconveniently placed, but there's also a USB port next to you. Continuing the inconvenience theme, there's a storage drawer at your feet which you have zero access to when the seat is in bed mode or the tray table is deployed. Other than that, there is no storage at all. Nowhere to place your glasses, your mobile phone, or even the provided headphones. This becomes a real frustration when you want to work because there's nowhere to put anything other than on your seat or your lap. It's even worse when it's time to sleep, which I'll show you later in the video. Let's get into some of the good stuff. Soon after takeoff, a drink was served from the bar, and if there's one thing that the Brits know how to do well, it's how to make a good gin and tonic. My aviation gin and fever tree tonic really hit the spot. It was served with roasted rosemary flavoured nuts. Not long after this, lunch was served. Here's a quick look at the lunch menu. For starter, I had the tuna saku tataki, which is a real mouthful, but it was absolutely delicious, as was the accompanying quinoa salad with goat cheese crumble. This is not how I remember British Airways meals being. For main course, I continued the fish theme and went with the Tasmanian salmon. Again, it was delicious. It was cooked to perfection and full of flavour. For dessert, I went with traditional British and ordered the coconut bread and butter pudding with custard. I assume the coconuts came from one of the colonies. I didn't use the entertainment system other than the route map, but here's a quick look on what was on offer. A small screen swings out from next to your neighbour's head. It's a touch screen, but mine was very temperamental, so I opted for the remote. There seems to be lots of choices, but navigation was slow as you had to click through everything. This aircraft was not Wi-Fi enabled, despite what the sticker said next to the door. After lunch, I got all my stuff off the footrest, plugged in the laptop charger and got back to work. The big problem with these window seats is that once you've set yourself up and start working and then realise you need something out of your bag or you need to go to the bathroom, you need to put everything away again to get out of your seat. And that's probably where the infamous line from my original review of these seats a number of years ago came from. The best seats for business travellers are on another airline. Eventually, it was time for a nap. Before I show you the seat in bed mode, here's a quick look at the amenities provided. Relatively standard stuff, but it did feature the largest eye mask I've ever seen. Let's do a quick loo review on the British Airways 787. This is dimly lit, but then we all do look better when the lights are dim. Nice lights around the mirror, clean mirror. Here is the sink, various lotions and potions by Spa. Some sort of surfboard here to change your kids or babies. A skateboard down here for touching your toes or doing your shoes. A full-length mirror, how good's that? With a handle for those who are straining or need to brace. And not one but two coat hooks on the back of the door. And there's the loo review, how's that? The bedding consisted of a mattress topper and a blanket, plus the largest pillow I've had in the sky. Big bonus points for the pillow. Because the space is so tight, getting your bed made up is quite the ordeal. The motor controlling the bed was on a go slope. Then, because you can only stand at the end, you really just have to throw the bedding into place. Once in bed, I realised the biggest downfall of having no storage space. There is nowhere to put your stuff, not even on the table. Losing your phone in your seat is dangerous, so the only option is to put it under your pillow. I then tuck my glasses under the side of my pillow and hope for the best. Then, reliving my previous review of these seats, I treated my water bottle like a teddy bear, kissed it goodnight and went to sleep. All that said, the bed was quite comfortable and I napped solidly for 2 hours. When I awoke, we were about 2 hours out of Singapore, somewhere near East Timor. The map wasn't great and I didn't have the patience for it. By now the sun was low in the sky and I was mesmerised by the wing just outside my window. Eventually I did some more work on my videos, but as it got darker I realised there are no overhead lights or air vents. The only light you have is a small reading light over your shoulder. The crew came around with snacks. There were also lots of snacks available in the galley. The crew on this flight were really excellent, fully engaged, friendly and happy to have a chat. About 90 minutes before our arrival, a snack was served. I went with the fried chicken wrap. Again, it was excellent, as was the accompanying salad. And so was the apple toffee cake with custard. Again, BA nailed this meal. Then something really nice happened. The cabin service manager, Jordan, had recognised me from my YouTube channel. He presented me with a specially decorated dessert from the first class cabin and a card from all the crew. It was really nice. Knowing that I was an av geek, he even asked the pilot to come and say hi. We had a great chat and he invited me to the cockpit after the flight. BA didn't know that I was on this flight, and after my previous reviews on this flight, I certainly wasn't going to tell them. What the crew did was off their own backs and showed how engaged they are and how proud they are of their airline. I did warn them though that my comments on the seats wouldn't be too kind, and it turns out the crew themselves can't wait for the entire fleet to be upgraded to the new business class product either. Not long after this, it was time to pack up and start our descent into Singapore. And that was British Airways in the old club world. Now obviously British Airways doesn't hate Australian travellers, it is all a little bit tongue-in-cheek. That said, would like to get the new product onto this Australian route year round, because at the end of the day we do have a choice. This flight cost me about $5,500 Australian dollars one way to Europe. I'm connecting on with Swiss in a moment, that's for another video. When there are significant differences in the types of seats that there are within business class, then it doesn't actually make sense to fly British Airways with this old product. It really doesn't. That said, the rest of the flight was fantastic. Here's the crew now heading off to party in Singapore. Hi. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you haven't checked out my channel, please do so. There's a whole lot of other flight reviews and a whole lot of cool stuff happening. Also, don't forget to download the Airalo app and use the special code DennisB3 to get $3 off your first SIM. You won't regret it. Download it today. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy travels.